I've been meaning to make this video for a while, and what it's going to end up being is just me talking to the camera. So, no offense taken at all. If that's not for you, I totally understand. But I get asked probably at least once a week over email this question. I get asked, and my students joked about this. I teach a music for games class here at Columbia College in Chicago as part of the music composition for the Screen MFA program, which is a great program. I'm really lucky to be part of it. And I teach the music for games class as part of that program. And my students joked with me last week that they ask me this every 3 weeks. I answered it, and they joked again that they would ask me again in another 3 weeks. And the question is, how do you get work as a game composer? How do you find work? And it's a question that has been asked over and over and over. I asked it when I was starting out, and what's so hard is that, and I'm here to just answer the question as best I can, which is this question doesn't have an answer. But I can hopefully provide some insight into why it doesn't have a good answer. And part of that is because if there was an answer to that question, how do you get work? Everyone would do it, and it would be that simple. And the reason it's not that simple, I think, is a lot more interesting, actually. I stumbled across this video of the actor Willem Dafoe just on the street, someone asking him questions. It was posed as if they didn't know who he was. I'm sure they knew who he was. None of that really matters. But one of the things he said in the video is, he was very gracious, but he said, "I don't give advice." I'm certainly nowhere near as well known as someone like him, but I have some experience doing this, and I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn a lot. And I don't think advice is really the right word for kind of what I'm trying to offer here, but I think guidance is. And there's this really interesting separation in what we do as composers, contributing to other projects that need our work. It's about a lot more than our ability and our skill set. A lot of it is about our trust and how much the developers that need us trust us when they hire us. And that trust is really the barrier to people who might have the interest and the desire and the skill set, but are having trouble finding the work. And it takes a really long time to develop that trust, or it can. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a project and you nail it, and it jumpstarts your career, and that's great. But I think really it's like so many other things in life, it's a slow burn. Like, everything you do moves the needle a little bit, sometimes nowhere near as much as you expect it to or want it to. But it's the answer to that question, and I've given you a really long-winded preface, is you keep doing the work, you keep showing up, you keep immersing yourself in the community of people that you genuinely connect with and enjoy, that you're enthusiastic about talking to, and you build connections, and they might not kind of bear fruit. I don't know why that's the best sort of analogy I can come up with right now. That might not happen right away. It might take a few years, but it's all about these seeds that you plant. And then it's this sort of balance of patience and persistence and hard work and enthusiasm. I think really the reason I keep using the word enthusiasm is enthusiasm fuels the whole process. Because I think it's really just sort of time and patience and persistence, which is the barrier to all this stuff. You need enthusiasm to fuel every aspect of that process. If you run out of enthusiasm and you burn out, then you don't have the energy to keep showing up and being persistent. And that's why I think really you have to love it enough and be enthusiastic enough about it, not just to do the work, because the work is kind of the fun part, but you have to weather the challenging times. And I've had times where things were much quieter than I wanted them to be. How do you know? I think the question is, how do you get through those? Um, and how do you just keep showing up, putting the work in, and building your career really brick by brick, probably in some cases slower than you want it to. Um, and I think the way to do that is, like I said, by immersing yourself in the community, by continuing to show up. But what do I mean by that? What is a community? What does immersing yourself mean? Um, this is just my perspective on this, and obviously everything I say now is just my perspective, and there are I'm sure other very valuable perspectives out there. But um, I don't think passively contributing to online communities is, I think it can help. I think it can help supplement. It certainly worked for other composers, but I think in-person connections are really strong. We're still, even though it's easy to hop online and jump on Reddit or jump on Discord, um, I have not found that kind of stuff to be anywhere near as impactful as meeting someone in person and actually knowing someone. I think that there's something that's a human connection about in-person communication, and online stuff is interesting. It's taken me a long time in my career to really sort of understand and be okay with not really having a huge social media and online presence, because I think the conclusion that I've drawn from a lot of that is that your online community is it's the community of people that like your work and that are fans of your work, and that's great. I think we all strive for that, and I don't mean to dismiss it as unimportant, but it's a different thing. I think your online following is sort of a measure of your fan base, the people that listen to you on Spotify, the people that like your work and will follow you on YouTube and subscribe to you. But your client base of developers that are going to hire you is much, much, much smaller than that, and they're going to interact with you in a much different way. The collaborative process is really personal. Um, it's intimate. It can get messy. In the sense that when you're working on something with someone, you might disagree, and you have to work through that. And that's a huge part of working together. And I think to really have someone want to work with you, they have to understand what it's going to be like to work with you in that way, not just to hear your work and pluck you out of the ether, which is, I think, a term I've used before, and just say, I want this person on my project. Now, that does happen. So things happen in all kinds of different ways. And I'm not here to tell you that there's one way to do anything, but I think that the slow burn of persistence, patience, enthusiasm, continuing to show up, continuing to do the work, continuing to love the work and what you're doing. And you have to be honest with yourself about how much enthusiasm and love you have for the work. I think eventually things will happen and pan out. It might happen quickly, it might happen slowly, but if you love it, that's somewhat of its own reward. So hopefully that is helpful. I will try my best to respond in the comments. Good luck and enjoy what you're doing, and make sure you love it. Thanks, everyone.